Can you talk a little bit about the mountain music, or what kind of music you were exposed to in North Carolina before you came to Cleveland?
Well, more or less rhythm and blues. That was the main music. Although one of my teachers, they he used to play a lot of jazz and stuff like that. But other than that, you know, it was rock and blues and rock and roll.
Totally, yeah, like more like Little Richard and Hank Ballard and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So, did you actually play on the Chitlin circuit, Eddie?
No, not really.
Yeah.
And I didn't travel a lot because I probably had gotten married at that time. I didn't want to. I had a chance to go to Japan, but they were talking about maybe 6 months. I said no way. Yeah, because I was married and stuff, and I said, hey, I come back. I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, there's no way your wife's going to be like, I'll divorce you if you leave,
Right.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
So tell me a little bit about, I remember talking to Jimmy Heath, the legend, rest in peace. He said that, can you just talk a little bit about some of the cats that came through, and maybe the first time you played with some of the cats, like Lou Donaldson, or when your first real professional gig?
Well, my real first professional gig was with Roland and Kirk when I played with them.
Oh my God, that's insane! How did that come about?
Well, actually, I was in school. I think I was in 10th grade or 11th grade, something like that. And so he wanted me to play with him, and I quit school and played with him about a year. But then it bothered me because I figured I'd be the only one in the family. There was 10 of us, and I figured I'd be the only one that didn't graduate. So I went back and to school and graduated. But I enjoyed playing with him for about a year.
So how old was Rahsaan at that time?
And Rahsaan and I were about the same age, around the same age, maybe a year different or something like that.
So I just want to be clear. You guys were playing gigs, and you were still in high school.
Well, what happened? I quit. I quit the school that the year to play with him. That's how that was. But after a year, it kind of bothered me, so I went back and went back to school and graduated.
No, I get it. I'm just curious. Did you meet him in North Carolina, or because I know he was from Columbus?
No, I met him in Columbus.
Okay, so you moved to Ohio when you were in grade school.
Right.
And then how did you? And then you were playing like the Club 100 with him.
Yeah, the Esquire, Club 100, places like that.
Talk a little bit about, were you playing organ at that time?
Yeah, and I hadn't really played organ that much before that. I did start before I met him, but about maybe a year or two before I met Rahsaan.
Well, let's talk. So, that you're making it seem very simple, but you were playing. Did you have an acoustic piano in your house growing up? How did you? And did you learn by ear only? Can you talk a little bit about that?
No, well, first of all, I did. When I first started playing music, I would get the kids that was in a grade or two ahead of me because you couldn't take lessons until you got to about the second grade, and I would get the kids to show me. I give them an apple, orange, or something. Get them to show me stuff on the piano. That's what I did at the beginning.
That's unbelievable. And then, but the first time that you were exposed to a Hammond organ was in the church, would you say?
No, it wasn't in the church. I just Don Patterson. He was stopped playing organ. He used to play piano. He stopped playing organ, and then I said, "Hey, he's playing organ. I think I'll do the same thing."
Don Patterson, man. Don. Wait, so you when did you first meet Don?
I met Don Patterson probably, I don't know, I had to be about 16, 17, something like that.
And so he was playing acoustic piano. Maybe it was out of tune. Maybe it was missing some keys, and was.
You're right.
Yeah, I remember those.
That's what got me with when I first started playing piano and stuff in clubs, and it looked like I would get a piano that some of the notes was broken. I mean, it was disgusting.
Dude, but I know that, Eddie, I know you were one of those cats like McCoy Tyner used to bang the thing back into tune, right?
I don't know. I just tried to get the club on to tune that piano. I said, man, get that tune. Because, it was bad. Then some of the notes were broke. I mean, it was something else.
Well, can you talk? How did Don get an organ into the club? I mean, did he get it from the local church? It's not easy to get an organ into the club.
Well, at one time, a lot of the guys, they had, I can't say the guy's name now, but they used to like rent an organ and stuff like that. Even the club owners used to rent organs and then have them in the club at the beginning. Then the musicians start buying organs and having the organs themselves so they could play wherever they wanted to, you know.
Absolutely. Talking to Eddie Baccus here on the Jake Feinberg Show. Could you talk a little bit about, a lot of people don't realize Bill Doggett, Groove Holmes, those cats, Jimmy Smith, they kicked pedals, but a lot of cats don't. They play left-hand bass. Did you wind up playing bass with your feet?
A lot, but sometimes you did a combination. But most of the tunes I just play the pedals. But it may be a tune that was difficult or something, and maybe you would just play the bass on the regular organ, not the pedal.
Right, you play bass in your left hand.
Right.
Well, talk about that. You fell in love with the organ. You never looked back. And how did you talk a little bit about, because it's so interesting, man, every musical environment you see today has a bass player, but the bass was not really part of the equation back then. It was, like you said, can you talk about, like with Rahsaan, it would just be sometimes it would just be organ and horn.
Yeah, but a lot of times it was, you had organ, drums, guitar. That was the main combination.
So what was after Rahsaan, can you just talk a little bit about, when you met Joe's father and the kind of steady gigs you had. I mean, you did graduate high school. I think that's very cool. You said you came from a large family and nobody graduated, but you did.
Right.
Right. So after that, though, you went. Can you talk about the first gig you had and what club it was at and who it was with?
Oh man, I can't even think of all those clubs.
Here's a better question. You said you didn't do a lot of traveling, right? You didn't do a lot of touring. You were basically part of that Cleveland music scene.
Right.
So
I traveled a little bit. Like I traveled with Ike Cole and Tony Lovano. But it wasn't a long time, maybe close to a year.
and can you talk about the circuits you would do? Was it basically Midwest? Where would you play?
Like Denver, Colorado, Abilene, Minnesota, place, I can't think of it, what town right outside of Chicago.
Like Evanston or something, yeah?
Right, and so those were the places I was playing. And then I played at a little place in Minnesota. That's when, like I said, that's when I was playing with, I played with Ike Cole,
You did? You played with Ike Cole?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He
my
played
God.
the piano, and I played the organ.
Hold on. Wait a minute. It was just a duo? You on organ, him on piano?
No, we had a drummer.
Who was the drummer?
Val Kent.
Ralph Kent. Val Kent.
Right.
Are you, dude? I would have been in the front row for this stuff, Eddie. This is unbelievable. Were you playing originals or were you just playing standards?
No, we just played whatever was popular.
Right. So you were playing top.
More or less jazz, more than anything.
Right, because at that time jazz was popular music, right?
Right.
So I mean, and so you would play bass. Ike would play piano. And then you'd have a drummer.
And here's another thing. Ike would only play when he came up to sing. Like if the set was an hour, we'd play a half an hour, and then he would come up and do a half an hour with the band.
Interesting. So basically, it was basically organ and drums for the first half hour.
Organ, drums, and sometimes guitar.
And a guitar. Who was on guitar? Do you remember who was on guitar?
Oh boy, right now.
It's okay, dude. Eddie, you're doing. By the way, you're doing amazing. And then Ike would come up and play maybe some of his original stuff, or he would just come up and
he would do a lot. He would do all kind of music. I mean, he would do all kind of music. Different songs and stuff.
And what year was this? Like 60? Do you have any idea what year it is?
Oh, wow.
I mean...
Yeah, I would say the early 60s, yeah.
Early 60s. And then you got, the road can really eat you alive, though. And I just wonder about when you got back to Cleveland, when what was the gig that really got you settled in to that scene? And, did you wind up being the house rhythms?
Yeah, well, I played at the 100 Club quite a bit. And I played at a place called Esquire. And both of them was on the same street, maybe 3-4 blocks apart. The Esquire and the 100 Club, both of them was on Euclid. I think it was Euclid Avenue.
What were the you didn't have monitors back then. How did you? Where did your ears must have been huge?
No, we just had a microphone or something, and that was it.
and you would basically be a rhythm section for cats that were coming in, like from out of town too.
No, well, most of the time I just play with the group, like a trio or a quartet.
Did you? But I mean, like when Dolphy or Coltrane, did you ever get a chance to play with some of those cats from out of state?
No, I didn't get a chance to play with them. So usually they had their own stuff going.
Totally.
But then at that time I was working every night. I was working sometimes 7 nights, and then sometimes I had a matinee and stuff too. I mean, you stayed busy in those days. But I remember, I think I worked about 4 or 5 years where I don't even think I may have had one day off or something, like a Monday or something.
So you basically worked 6 full nights a week.
Right.
And you were able to, Eddie, get ahead and build a family around that?
Right.
So tell me a little bit about Papa Lovano. I mean, can you talk a little bit about his significance to the music scene and how you connected with him?
Well, at the time, I was playing with Al Serafini, Italian, and I mean, I was working a lot, but then I ran into a thing where I was playing at a club, and the club owner said, I couldn't bring nobody visit. Come to the club to hear me unless it was my father or mother or something. In other words, it's a racist thing.
Right.
Then I quit. I said, I'm not going to play on those circumstances like that.
So, and then, and is that how you connected with Carmen Lovano?
With Tony Lovano.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, because I couldn't play on conditions like that.
What? I'm sorry. You were playing with Seraphine?
What is it?
You were playing with Seraphine, and what did they say to you? We don't want any people of color in here. What?
We didn't want any black people to show up, to come in there in that club.
Yeah, you said I'm done with that.
And I said, they say unless it was my mother or father or something. I said, shit, that's crazy.
Dude, you made the right. So where did you go after that?
Oh, that's I was playing with Serafini then. That's when I started playing with Tony Lovano. Tony Lovano called me the next day. He said, man, I hear you ain't with Serafini. You want a job? The next day.
Oh, man. So what was the name of the club that you played with Tony at?
Oh, man, it was the Kitty Show Bar or something. I forgot the name of the place. Something like that.
When you, do you remember the first time that you kind of got hip to what they referred to as boogaloo music? Do you feel like you got into the James Brown kind of funk?
I played alligator boogaloo. Yeah, I played that kind of stuff too. Yeah.
So you knew did you know the other, when those because I know you were like the Cat in Cleveland. Did you know, or were those with the other organ cats like, Lonnie Smith or those guys? Would they come and check you out?
I knew them. Lonnie Smith real well.
So, but I mean, he was in Buffalo, but he'd come through town and come see you. How they just knew to come find you?
Sometimes he played gigs in Cleveland and places like that.
Who was the best leader?
That,
Yeah. Who was
that's when I met him.
who was the best leader that you ever worked with?
Maybe I told.
And why?
I mean, he was a great guy, and I remember the time we was in his hometown, and he had a picnic for the band and stuff. He was a real nice guy.
Now you say you're still playing gigs. What What kind of gigs do you have this week? And how are you?
It's bad now with the epidemic.
I know it's
But,
so.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Like, how are you protecting your? Are you wearing a mask during the gigs?
Yeah, I more or less do, yeah.
And you have been vaccinated as well?
Oh, I've been vaccinated.
Right. So, can you? What is your gut feeling, Eddie, about when? I'm not saying what normal was before, but how long will it take for live music to come back to some kind of normalcy?
Probably a couple of years, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I worked the less this year than I have in 50 years. But I had a gig the other day, so well, maybe things are getting better.
Let me ask you, where was the gig? Because if I'm coming through Cleveland, I would love to come check you out. Where was
No, it was just a one-nighter.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, where was it?
Oh, it was like a private party.
Oh, it wasn't even at a club.
It was at some people I knew that was having a birthday in there, and then they just had a little party.
Did you ever play in a big band with the organ?
I did a thing one time where it was a concert. And they had a lot of musicians, and on that composition, it was a big band, and I just had a little solo on it. That was about it. That was a long time.
Before I let you go, Eddie, can you tell me some recordings that you played on?
What is it?
No, who did you record with? Did you ever record with Ike Cole? Did you ever record with anything?
No. I had an album called Feel Real, and Roland Kirk set that up for me. And
What was it called? What was it called?
Feel Real.
How do you spell that?
Feel, like feel.
Feel Real?
Yeah.
And
like if you feel, it's real.
And what was that? A long time ago?
Yeah, around 1960 something.
And then what about as a sideman? Did you ever record with Tony or anyone like that in the studio?
No. That's the only thing I did. It was an album. They probably can't get it now because it's been so long. It was called Feel Real. It was on the Smash label.
It was on Smash.
Yeah.
And did you record it at King Studios, or where did you record it?
No, I recorded it in Chicago, Illinois.
Unbelievable. So did you know Von Friedman and Sonny Stitt and those guys?
I met Sonny Stitt. Yeah.
Eddie, you are doing fantastic, man. I wish you so much luck and moving forward, as with all musicians, that live music will again seize the day, my friend. And
yeah, I hope so.
And we'll be in touch and maybe do another interview down the road.
Okay.
Take care, man.
It's my pleasure.
My pleasure, man. Bless you.
Okay.
Later.
Okay.
Bye.